So thank you all for joining us tonight. We are in our webinar where we have Jane Schramko, one of our former students, just participated in graduation over the weekend, and she is here to share her experience with us as she prepared for the RHIA exam, which is the Registered Health Information Administrator exam. And she is also going to share a little bit of her career path. So to just start us off, I'm going to read Jane's bio just so you know a little bit more about her. And then we are going to do a sort of a freestyle and have Jane start off telling us a little bit about how she studied, how did she start reviewing, what made her enroll in the RHIA program, what's been her career path along the way, okay? So Jane was born and raised in Honolulu, Hawaii. She's a single parent of 2 teenagers. Jane has over 25 years of experience in healthcare. She originally started as a certified therapeutic recreation specialist in the rehab setting, assisted living, retirement community, and long-term care. In 2013, Jane became a certified medical coder through AAPC. She started working in health information management in a long-term care facility, and that following year, and then she's been in that particular field for the last 9 years. In 2018, Jane started a medical coding and billing business with a good friend. She decided to go back to school in 2019 and graduated in November 2022. And she just did her graduation ceremony. And Jane also has already earned her RHIA credential, which is the Registered Health Information Administrator credential, in April 2023. So wow, Jane, you have been super busy. I know with everything going on, running your own business, managing 2 teenage boys, going to school, trying to go to graduation, all of those things that are going on in your life it's such an exciting time. And I think that where I want to start off is I know that a lot of students are struggling right now. I've talked to several because it is so many things going on all at once. And so I want to talk a little bit about how you managed that, getting ready for school, doing your work, taking care of a family, running your own business. Just talk to us a little bit about how that goes for you, or how that process happened for you, and how you incorporated your learning into that scenario.
So I know this is so cliche, but time management, it's important, truly. And, I have to say, especially with the side business, there were moments where I had to, put family time on the back burner for a little bit. But I made sure that the kids understood, that, this is temporary, it's not permanent. This is something that I really need to do right now. But, there's those moments too where it's normal, right? We get tired, we're burnt out, we're just like,
Yes.
I can't do this anymore. But, as long as you have that strong support system, I think that keeps you going. It helps to remotivate you week after week, even day after day in some instances. And also, a lot of it is, for me, I'm a spiritual person. So, it's just, okay, God, just get me through this next course. Just get me through this next test. Just get me through this next post. It was a lot of that, just and I think the big thing for a lot of the classes leading up to the practicum was just preparation, right? Knowing that, I think once you become familiar with the course and the expectations of the professor, it's easier. You're able to prepare, like, okay, this is the format that they expect. It's easier to, go into the next course. I remember the weekly posts. Some professors were very specific about, okay, it has to be 5 paragraph summary, and some were just sum it up, right? So I got used to the 5 paragraph summary, and I prepared in advance, and then it was total flip, like, oh, we don't need the 5 paragraph summary, we just need a summary. And then I'm like, okay, I over prepared. But I think a lot of the preparation, and you're your own cheerleader, like, you have your family, you have your kids, you have the professors and your fellow classmates, but really and truly, at the end of the day, you're your own cheerleader. You just kind of have to push through. and I always believe like you know, you can't quit. Just rest. And you know, it wasn't easy. I'm gonna be very honest. There
Hmm.
were moments where I submitted, you know, assignments at 11:58 p.m. when they were due right at 11:59, and that's
Yes.
okay too, right? As long as we get there. And I think the really big thing that helped me was just communicating with my professors. Um, so throughout my college career with the RHIA, I lost my mom. I had two major surgeries. It was just, you know, the pandemic happened. It was a lot. But uh, the professors are very understanding, and they're so willing to work with you. And as long as, you know, you're transparent about your situation, th- yeah, that's one thing that I can say that I'm very grateful for with DeVry, that the professors, they understand. They're, you know, they're humans. They've been in our shoes, so they get it.
Yes, yes. I'm glad you mentioned having supports, because sometimes, we feel like we're alone, right? There's no one really doing the work with us other than our classmates that we don't see physically.
Right.
And sometimes we have the opportunity to form relationships, which I encourage. But what were some of those supports? So if you had to define one or two of those that you put as a priority.
Um, I would say that uh it was primarily the professors, like the office hours, the support, and
Hmm.
then for me, my family was the second support. Being a single parent, my dad is he helped me with my kids, you know, like he
Yes.
was a chauffeur, like getting them to school, picking them up, you know, making sure they're fed if I'm not able to get to them in time. But I think family, and again the professors, and whenever I had technical difficulties, you know, just reaching out. um, I think one of the big things for me, uh, that I really had to adjust to was the ebooks. I'm a very paper kind of, I'm a planner. I love paper. I love stationery.
Hmm.
Crazy about pens. Maybe it's an HIM thing, but I, I that was a huge adjustment for me. You know, I'm so, and I don't know, I'm not tech savvy at all, and so
Uh-huh.
that's what was everyone was like, "You're getting a bachelor's degree in technical management. You're not even tech." I was like, you know, but that was an adjustment. You know, just that, and um the resource. It was, oh gosh, is it RefWorks, where for the APA, you know, we had to do everything in APA
Yeah,
format.
format. Yes.
That that literally, that and Grammarly literally saved me. You know, I cannot say enough about RefWorks and Grammarly. Like, it doesn't matter how much it costs, get it. Just get it. Just do it.
Yeah, those are good resources to have. That's
Yes.
definitely true. I
Yes.
agree. I agree.
Yes, definitely.
So if you had to kind of talk about your what I call study plan, right? So, the
Mhm.
days you study, the days that you could do that, not only for the exam, but as you transition from being a full-time student to preparing to study for the exam, what was that period of your life like for you?
So I that that was a transition too. Um you know, I went through the Cengage modules,
Hmm.
and it wasn't until the person that I did my practicum with, my practicum supervisor, it wasn't until she actually she purchased the book for me, the review book for me, and she gifted that to me. And so that kind of lit the fire, if you know what I'm saying, for me to, you know, kind of get myself together and start preparing.
Hmm.
But the biggest difference that for me, the Cengage was, it was good because it was very intense. It's a lot of information,
Uh-huh.
but the concepts and the way it was worded in our practice and the exams that we have were, I think, more relatable when it came time for the exam. So the leading up to it, what I did was during the lectures that you would have, Dr. Jenkins, every week we'd have a different module and you'd go over the different modules of the exam.
Yes.
That's what I initially used to guide and set up my study plan was, this domain, it was these items. And I know that you referenced a lot of our books for a specific domain. So that's how I started with my study plan and that transition.
Awesome. Awesome. So what was your time commitment like?
So once I got the actual review book, for the AHIMA review book for the RHIA, I would commit about an hour or two every night.
Uh-huh.
Okay, wait, maybe not every night, maybe every other night.
Uh-huh.
Initially it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then it switched to Tuesday, Thursday, and then I was like, okay, I'm taking the weekends off. But I would try to at least touch at least one section of the book, whether it was the module itself, just the one part of each domain,
Yes.
or just like the whole domain itself. So I would just commit to that. I wouldn't go through the whole entire review every night, but I would just go through different ones, because when you go through them, you get a score.
Uh-huh.
And with the book, there's a rationalization at the back of the book, and even in the e-version of it, you sign up through it, and it's through AHIMA Press. So you have all of that information readily available. And so that's what I would do. And it's awesome because at the end of each rationalization for the answers, there's they give you the citation of where you can go back to.
Yes.
I struggled with domain 3. That was my domain that I struggled with. So that helped me out. Everything that those citations for the answers in domain 3, I had to go back to the textbooks. I Googled those citations just to get a better understanding of certain things. So that helped me a lot.
Yeah, I just want to digress for a second because I'm like bubbling over, right? Because you learn to use that textbook. You know what I mean? I think sometimes
Yes.
we will order a book, we'll get a book, whatever, and we don't learn how to use it. But it is clear that you learn to use it because you're right. There are references for each question, and you can, locate those. You should have them in your list of books already. But to be able to go back to those references and learn how to use them, how to look up things. I think what I want to ask you next is how did you identify, or what did you do when you identified your strengths and your weaknesses? How did you categorize those, and what did you do?
So I did the practice exam. So when I first got the book, and again, I'm not tech savvy, right? I'm a paper person. So I went through the actual book itself. This was in February. So just to give you a timeline, I started really studying and, buckled down in February and decided to take the test in April.
Uh-huh.
So got done with my practicum in November, took a couple months off over the holidays, February buckled down, and then April. So that's kind of the time frame I was working with.
Awesome.
So I did the paper. I was discouraged. I was so discouraged. First domain. I'm not gonna kid you not. I think there's like, don't quote me, but maybe there were like 30, 35 questions.
Uh-huh.
I probably got half correct. I was discouraged. I was like, okay, maybe now's not the time to do this. Maybe I actually just come back when I can do better. But but I had to. I was like, okay, no, you want this. This is what you went to school for. You chose to do this. You're paying for your own education this time around. Just you got to do it. So yeah, so I went through the whole each domain, right? And my scores weren't great at all. I'm just putting it out there. They weren't. So
Uh-huh.
don't, I mean, it's a lot of information, right? And
Yes.
here I am, going through the domains, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this class was 2 years ago. Really? How am I going to figure this out? Right? And then, so of course, I go back to the citation for the reference. I'm like, what? And then in some of the classes, I'm like, this was Dr. Jenkins' course. But yeah, so eventually I would just, retake. I would retake the quizzes, the practice exams, whether it was online or in the book. And and then I would start writing down, any domain that, I repeatedly got wrong. Um or questions that I got repeatedly wrong, that I always got wrong for the different domains.
Mhm.
I wrote it down in my book, and I broke everything down by domain. So like I had this notebook, and each so many pages for each domain, and I just write it out. And again, I'm a visual person,
Yes.
paper, right? So I'm like highlighter, purple, pink, orange, yellow, just, yeah. So that's what I did. And then even when I thought, I'm like, okay, I got this down, and I'd go back and retake it again. So you have the options of just taking the domain practice, the individual by itself,
Uh-huh.
or you can take the comprehensive, which covers all 5 domains. So whenever I would do the comprehensive with 5 domains,
Hmm.
I would pass, and I'm like, what? I thought I had that domain down, and so I would go back to that again. And so that's kind of how I broke down, what my strength versus what my weakness was,
Uh-huh.
um, for each domain. That's
Awesome.
what helped me.
Awesome. So I want to just kind of highlight the fact that you scheduled your exam and then you took it within 90 days. It certainly was a little bit longer than 90 days following graduation, but that's okay because it was the holidays, you needed some downtime. But you selected your date and you stuck to it, right? So I want to talk about the process of making application for the exam with a HEMA, and then hearing from a HEMA to say, yes, you're approved to take it, and then going to Pearson VUE's website to schedule everything. So talk to me a little bit about how that happened or that process went for you.
So I went back to that guide that you provided for us. I can't
Yes, the
remember exactly
candidate
what
guide,
the name.
candidate
Yes,
guide,
that.
yes.
Yes. So I went through the candidate guide. I read through what was required for the RHIA exam, and then I just kind of followed it step by step as far as, completing the application. The one hiccup that I came across was when I had to request my transcripts.
Mm-hmm.
So again, not tech savvy. I didn't realize that I could do it through the student portal. Here I was, paper person, trying to fax a hard copy over to the RHIA, and it wouldn't go. I would fax you. So finally I called, and the lady was like, I'm so sorry. You must have gotten an old form because we don't accept fax anymore. I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So she, again, the student support, like even with academics, advising, she was like, I'll walk you through it. Go to your student portal. Here's where
Mm-hmm.
you go, and you can request it. So that was the only thing that was missing in my application process in the beginning. But once they received my transcripts, and they were able to confirm and validate that, I completed the courses and that I had graduated, um, I would say within about a week, I heard back from them. And then I got the email saying you qualify for the candidate. And then I got the email from Pearson VUE. And yeah, and then it just, you sign up and you got to commit.
Awesome, awesome. So this is the thing that everybody kind of wonders about. When you get to Pearson VUE the day of testing, talk to me
Mhm.
about how that went. And I want to know if the room was cold.
Okay, so I am not a morning person. I am
Uh-huh.
not a morning person. So, here I am. I juggled with the schedule time. I was struggling with it. I was like, do I go first thing in the morning or do I go in the afternoon? Because if I go first thing in the morning, might be tired, And it was the Monday right after Easter is when I scheduled it. The Monday right after Easter. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I was like, I'm gonna go to church on Sunday, pray real hard, and then I'm gonna show up on Monday. And so I
Yes.
had to be there at 7 o'clock a.m., which is very early
Mm-hmm.
for me, very early for me. And so I didn't tell anyone that I was going. I just told my son and my daughter, and I told my dad. I just said, Dad, I have to go to take a test. I didn't tell him what kind of test it was, but I told my kids. I was like, okay, mommy's, this test that mommy's been studying for, it's today. I'm going tomorrow morning. And so, I didn't, like, because, we're very prideful and we're like, what if I don't
Right,
pass?
right.
So, yes. So I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even tell my practicum supervisor. But I signed up. I showed up, and it was very interesting. It's a test. It was one of the Pearson View test centers specifically, and there's it wasn't just RHIA exams being completed
Mhm.
there. It was a whole spectrum of, because some people, the guy was like, you have to put your phone in a Ziploc bag and then put it in the locker,
Yes.
but and then I had to show up with my I showed up with 2 forms of ID,
Yes.
and even that wasn't enough, right? They did the palm reading
Oh, the
with the
biometrics.
biometric.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, they
Wow.
did biometric, and they even take your picture.
Wow.
They take a picture, and so it was very interesting. So they do that. You lock everything up in your locker, and I remember the guy talking to the person in front of me saying, okay, you get scheduled breaks. So I asked, I said, is my exam one of those where it's a scheduled break? And he said, no, it's not. He said, if you decide to take a break, it'll just, use up whatever time you're allotted. And
Mhm.
then you won't have that time when you get back. I was like, okay. So got there, they make you read this thing, do the biometric with the palm, take your picture, and then you put everything in the locker, and then you wait, and then you go in. And what happened was they check everything. Like, actually, this is what I was wearing.
Uh-huh.
So they check you. They tell you to lift up your hood, look behind your neck. You got to,
Wow.
empty out your pockets, and then they check your arms to make sure you don't have any notes on there. That kind of thing. You can't wear your watch, obviously. Can't chew gum, and then so they do all that, and then they literally escort you to your seat. I'm not sure what other testing sites look like, but for the one that I went to, there were cubicles.
Mhm.
There were all cubicles, and you get a dry erase board and a dry erase marker, to write down any notes. But it was cold. It was
Mhm.
cold.
Mhm.
Uh,
Okay. Still cold. I guess I use the word
Still
still
cold.
cold because it used to be
Still
cold when
cold.
I, would take an exam. I think it's one of their techniques to, I forget what you call it. Kim, you know what I'm talking about. When they have certain techniques they do to it's kind of intimidating. You're not going to get warm and relaxed, that kind of thing. So
Right,
yeah,
right. Keep you on your
yeah,
toes.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
So that's exciting. I'm gonna ask Shayla, you have any questions for Jane? You're getting ready to test soon.
I know. I don't think I have any questions. I had experience with Pearson View when I took the CCS in 2012, and it was
Uh-huh.
the same. It was the same exact way, and I was
It
so
was.
nervous. I passed because they give your results right then. I left my
Yes.
books in the
Oh my,
locker and
yes.
all kind of stuff. I mean, my purse. It was crazy, but I was excited. But I had the same experience with Pearson View. But I like the way that she talked about how she kept retaking the practice test and
Mhm.
wrote down the questions that she missed. I think that'll be a good strategy. But
Yeah, I
I'm
agree.
nervous though. But when I took my CCS, I did like I just studied from my CCS review book, and I
Mhm.
timed myself when I got ready to sit down for the practice test and stuff. But I
Uh-huh.
think
Hmm.
this is gonna be a little different because I'm used to the coding world, and this is
Mhm.
gonna be a little different for me. But I can do it.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
Shayla, honestly, I think you're gonna do fine. It's Do you already have the RHIA review book, or?
Yes, I already purchased. It's let me get it because it's probably the same one that you have. 1 second.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
great. Yeah, that's great that you get to share a little bit about the exam process because I think when you hear someone talk about their experience, it kind of lessens the worry and anxiety
Mhm.
associated with exams. So I'm glad that you're here and that Shayla's on. and that others will be able to hear when they listen to the recording that, you know, there are some things that you can do. Now, you know, one thing I wanted to say too is that I know that, you know, different students are going to study in different ways. You know, that worked for you. Some student, I know when I took the RHIA, at that time, our main book was the Edna Huffman book. So I read that book cover to cover, right? They didn't really have the exam review books like they have now. But reading that from cover to cover over and over again was something that I did. That was how I studied, and I write. To write is to remember for me. So I would write things down. So yes, Shayla, yeah, is that it?
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome.
So if you go to the back of the book real quick, Shayla, just, you know, any random answer towards the back, you'll see like the answer and the citation at the end of the answer. That's what I was referring to earlier. And if it's not something that looked familiar as far as the author, I would just Google the whole citation, and Google's pretty good. It'll bring you different sources for that. But that helped a lot. Yeah, I read that RHIA the exam book, because it tells you how to use the book. And I think normally I don't follow directions well, and I want to just get to it. But I was like, okay, my extern supervisor bought this for me. I better follow directions. And so it's good. It tells you step by step exactly how to utilize that book to your advantage.
Yeah, I kind of glimpsed through it, but I haven't really started studying yet. But one question I was going to ask you, was the exam set up like the study guide, like the review guide?
So the questions are different. They're not exactly the same.
But the same format?
It's the same format, but with the exam itself, I feel like the questions were not rephrased. It was there was more words. It wasn't as simple. I feel like the review book, the way it's worded is a little bit more simple, but in the actual exam, it's a little more detailed, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But the concepts are the same. If you become very familiar with the concepts for each domain, you're going to be able to read through it and read through the question and still be able to apply the knowledge that you have about that concept. Does that make sense?
Yes, makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So of course, the first question came on, and I literally sat there for 5 minutes, or what felt like 5 minutes, before I even answered it, because I was like, yeah, this format of this question doesn't look like the one in the review book. So I kind of just sat there for a second, and then I finally answered it. I do want to let you know though that you are able to flag questions that you want to go back to during the exam. You're able to do that, and you can review. And you can. So I was so nervous. I didn't even know that was an option. It just said flag on the bottom, and I was like, I'm not flagging anything, because I'm not doing anything until after. And I was like, okay, there's 180 questions. I'm not going to keep clicking back 175 times to get back to number 5. So I finally raised my hand, and the test person, came to my cubicle, and I was like, how do I get back to number 15 without having to click back? And he was like, okay, just, click the flag. I was like, I didn't flag anything. I didn't flag anything. He goes, just, click on this button here. And right, crit. Such a cynical person. I was like, this button, are you sure? Yes. Okay. So yeah, so then it came up, and it shows you, like, you can automatically go back to the question that you want to go back to. So, and like I said, they provided a dry erase board and the dry erase marker, so I was able to go back and review questions that I needed to review.
Okay.
And just like your CCS, you'll get your results right away.
Sounds good.
Did you take the entire 3.5 hours to complete the exam? How long did it take you?
I actually took, I want to say maybe 2.5.
Okay, good.
2.5. And that's with reviewing.
Mm-hmm.
With the reviewing too. I just have to share this funny story real quick. So you know, if you have to go to the bathroom or if you need to get their attention. So they're behind this glass. They're on the other side of the room, and they're behind this glass, like security, right? They
Mhm.
have the monitors and they're watching everyone. And so I raise my hand to tell the guy that I'm done. And as soon as I raise my hand, I'm like, I'm done. And he goes, and then he goes, so I got excited, Shayla. I'm like, does this mean I passed? Like, what do you mean, right? So then, of course, he comes, he would stand up, he escorts me out of the room. And then my heart drops. I'm like, maybe I didn't pass. Maybe that's not what this meant. And so he goes, I'm going to go get your results for you. So then he gives me the paper. And all I see is the word pass, right? And it says pass clearly, clear as day, it says pass. But I'm that person who needs to see the score. That's me. So then the scores there. It says passing score 300, and my score I think was like a 326.
Awesome.
So
Wow.
yeah, so it wasn't enough that it said pass. I
That's
needed to know
great.
Yes.
that.
That's
But yeah,
great.
so you'll get it right away. But yeah, if you if you want to ask me anything after this session, um, you can ask Dr. Jenkins for my email, and I'll be,
Okay. That'll
more
be
than happy
great.
to answer other questions you might have for sure. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
that'd be
you.
great.
Uh-huh.
That'd be great. So as we get ready to wrap up, I know you own your own business, medical billing and coding. Can you just talk a little bit about that? I think that's super, super exciting, and just, and how you plan to use your degree and your certification in the business
So
world.
so the friend that I started it with was actually my coding instructor. So she teaches the AAPC preparation course.
Yes.
So she was the one who I took the class with,
Hmm.
and that was back in 2013. And then she was like, you're gonna pass. She was like, look, you're my friend, you're gonna pass. I was like, okay, no pressure, no pressure. But it wasn't until 2018 when we decided that we would give it a try to do the business. We weren't actively recruiting or anything like that. It was another student of hers who approached her because she had a physician that needed assistance with billing and coding,
Hmm.
and that's when we got our first client. We only have two current clients. There's one's OBGYN and the other one's internal medicine, so
Uh-huh.
general medicine. And I do that in the evenings. Um, I do that part of it in the evenings. Since I've gotten my RHIA credential, I've been offered a promotion within the company, within the long-term care facility that I work for.
Awesome.
Yeah, they've offered me a regional position to oversee both facilities in our organization. And I've also applied for another job. Again, with the RHIA credential, there's health information management is so broad. Like
Yes.
I can't, like, that's even saying that it's so broad, I feel like is an understatement, because everyone's like, what do you mean health information management? I'm like, anything with health information, that's what we do. Like it's just all of it. So it's at a rehab facility. I interviewed the day before I was flying out to Chicago for graduation.
Uh-huh.
um I haven't gotten an offer letter yet, but the person on the interview panel did call me and said, inform me that I did well during the interview and that I should be receiving something soon within the week.
Awesome.
And that's as a clinical documentation specialist. So something completely different from what I'm currently doing. So I'm
Yeah,
excited. I'm
that's
excited. Yeah, yeah, I wish I would have, you know, done it sooner, but it's never too late. I truly believe it's never too late, and you can't ever put a price on education, right? It's a lifelong investment.
yeah, yeah. Well said. Well said. Any other questions, Kim? You have any questions? You want to say something?
Yeah, no questions. Just thanks for shooting out the invite, Dr. Jenkins. I really appreciate it. And I just really commend you, Jane, for everything that you've done. It's not easy to go to school continuously and have a family and have a business and you're working full time, and
Yeah.
that all takes time, right? And we all wish we had more than 24 hours in each day. I know I do most of the time.
Right.
So I really commend you for that, and just as a previous single mother myself, and kind of going through those motions and trying to continue my education as well, I completely understand that situation, and how, when you mentioned that you were focused in school and sometimes it would take away from your family, and you're right, and it does. And you have to know going into these things that it is going to happen. You're going to have that time, unfortunately, and it's time you're never going to get back, right? But it is
Mhm.
time that you are putting into something that is going to be worthwhile. And I will leave you with this: your kids are seeing and have seen your struggle through this journey in your life.
Yes,
And
Kim.
because of that, that is going to enable them to go after these things, be goal oriented, set goals, go after that education themselves, and hopefully create a nice life for themselves. That's what it's all
Yes.
about, right? And education is important. It's something nobody can take from you. That is
Yes.
100% factual. So the
Mhm.
fact that you are now building on top of your education and getting all these certifications on top of it is just fantastic, because it's really something that we want to promote all of our students do, right? That's the whole point. It's like you're getting a diploma, you're getting a degree, you're getting, whatever level you're going to school for. But if you don't have that certification to back it, that is only part of the puzzle, is getting that completion of your degree, right? The next
Mhm.
piece is to get certified. And there's
Yeah.
so many different
Yeah.
certifications in these, technical health fields. It's crazy. So you go, girl, you get that certification, and I'm super proud of you. And I'm
Thank
just very
you.
happy to have been here today to listen to your story.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. That means a lot. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned about that shirt. The degree is just one part of it, because uh literally right before I came on to sign on, my dad was like, "Wait, so not everyone that graduated got their RHIA already?" I was like, "No." I was like, "That's completely different, Dad." I was like, "It's completely different. You have to study for it." But yeah, so I
You
had
have
to
to take
explain
the
to
next
him.
step to be able to
Right.
do it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'm thankful to whoever you had as your practicum supervisor, because that was kind of like a, hey, I see this person can do really well, right? She can be
Yeah.
certified. She can do this, and I'm going to get her another tool, right, that's going to help her in this. So I'm thankful for that, because it seems like that was really a driver for you. You probably would have gotten it anyways, but that was a driver for you to do it now rather than wait.
Yes.
Because the longer
Yes.
you wait, the less things are on your mind. You want to do it while it's fresh,
Right.
and
Right.
Shayla, I commend you also for already thinking about it, because it's important.
Yes.
And it happens. We get older, we lose stuff. If our brain's like a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So,
Love it.
very good, very good.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Kim. Well said.
You-
Shayla, you have anything else you want to say?
No, I don't think so, but I hope you get that CDI specialist job, because I just I work for an Army Medical Center, federal
Oh,
government, and I'm an inpatient coder. I'm still working as an inpatient coder, but I did get a position last year as the CDI specialist, but I
nice.
hadn't actually started it yet because we're so short staffed. We losing people because they want to work remote, and we
Mhm.
still in house. But
Wow.
that's great. And I also have my CDEO through AAPC. So
Oh, awesome.
testing for the CDEO was different from AHEMA, because I wasn't used to, filling in the bubbles and all that different stuff. So it was
Yeah.
very helpful. It was very helpful, the information that you provided tonight. And thank
Shayla,
you.
tell me what the CDO credential stands for.
Clinical documentation expert outpatient.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Congratulations. You've been busy.
Thank you. Yes, I had that certification for a couple of years now.
Uh-huh. Awesome. That's awesome. Well, if there's nothing else, one thing I want to say is that I hope that for folks who are watching this video, that this provides you with a little bit more insight, a little bit more ease in terms of thinking about taking the exam. It is so important that you take these exams and that you are comfortable taking them, because you've put in the education time, you put in the effort, you've got the knowledge to do it. And you know, that's my hope. And I believe our hope as a college, for the College of Health Sciences and any of these programs that you're enrolled in, that you would go ahead and sit for the end of course exam and pass successfully. And I want to say to those who have taken it and who maybe weren't successful on the first attempt, stay in there, study, use some of the tips that Jane shared. You can do it, take it again. And also, Jane, before I forget, Jane wants to also award a couple people the RHIA exam review book. So I'm going to say on this recording, Kim, Jane, and Shayla, my witnesses, for the first two people who watch this video and respond to me via email once I send it out, you'll be the ones who I will let Jane know, and she will make sure that you get the review books. Jane, I think that that is so super wonderful to pay back, to pay it forward. Yes. And give to others, and that's just really cool. It's out of the goodness of your own heart, and I think that that's just awesome, because believe me, there's somebody out there who wants that book that can't afford it and wants to start studying, and I think it'll make a difference in somebody's life. So thank you so much. I want to say thank you to Dr. Neal, who couldn't be with us tonight, but allowed me the opportunity to do this tonight. And we're busy in the College of Health Sciences, and our goal is to help you all change your lives and to move forward in your career path. So thank you so much. Thank you, Shayla. Thank you, Jane. I appreciate you coming in tonight. Thank your family for allowing you the time. And Kim, thanks for your support. I appreciate you all so much. Everyone have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.